I'm going to show you how to turn this, I keep on doing it the wrong way, this into this. I am going to take you through my design process on how I create icons using Adobe Illustrator. So there's probably two ways that you could do this. You could go and download a library icon on the amazing free websites that are available out there, or challenge yourself and try and create your own set of icons to learn Adobe Illustrator a bit better. So the reason why I'm going to take you through my design process is because I think it's a great way to learn the pen tool within Illustrator. So we will be starting with pen and paper. Let's go. Okay, so here are my adventure icons. I drew 9 icons that took around maybe 3 to 5 minutes to do. I'm just going to keep it quite simple, so the purpose of this is for us to play around with the tools in Illustrator. Okay, so here are the adventure icons that I sketched up. Please excuse my drawings, they're not the most perfect, but using the wonderful tools of the pen tool and Adobe Illustrator, we can recreate some really nice, clean, linear icons. This will be a simple linear icon tutorial. Maybe in the future I'll do a bit more complex stuff such as coloring and adding some shadows and depth to the icons, but for now we'll just stick to some simple linear ones. This is what you will create with me. I am going to start again. So let's go File, New. You can create whatever artboard you'd like, but I'm just going to keep it at common and keep everything the same. Here, create. Alrighty. So, I'm just going to clean all this up. We are going to firstly place our reference image into the artboard. So I am going to go File, Place, have my image here. Just gonna drag it out. I'm just going to crop it a bit to make it more clean, and I can enlarge the image as a reference. So I'm just going to go to the rectangle tool and draw a box over the cropped image that I want. And we're going to select both of the objects, right click and make a clipping mask. That's it. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. Secondly, I'm just going to drag this, so just click Shift Drag. Alright, we've got our reference icons. Let's go into the layer panel. If you can't access it here on the side, just go to Window, Layers, or click F7. Let's rename this reference image. Click this arrow. Let's reduce the opacity of the image so we can draw on top of it. On the side here, we can go Properties, click Properties, down to opacity, click the arrow, and it will drop down a little slider for you. So just slide that down to maybe 17%, 19%, however much you want, and close that on the side here. Alright, so let's start drawing. I am going to, let's create a new layer and label this icons, adventure icons, and make sure you lock the reference image that you can draw on top of it. Select H to glide over. I'm gonna hit Control Plus so I can zoom in to see my horrible drawings that I will beautify. Okay, so let's dissect this. This first pin here, I am going to use the pen tool. I'm going to click once to set an anchor. I am going to click the top directly above it, so make sure that it's quite straight. Click and hold your left click, hit the shift key and then drag it outwards. So I'm just going to drag it until I feel like there's a nice little curve there, and then I'm going to just let go, let everything go, and as you move around you can move it back to the main anchor point and it'll be quite symmetrical. So that's my little hack to create a simple pin. And then make sure that the small circle is appearing over the pen tool so that you can close off this point. There you go, there's your first shape. When you click outwards you won't be able to see anything because at the moment we haven't filled it with color or we haven't filled it with a stroke. So let's fill it with a solid black stroke. Double click the stroke here. I'm just gonna do black, so it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Click OK. Oh, what happened? Oops. Click OK. Yep, perfect. Let's do 2. Let's do 3. Okay. We are going to set up our stroke to make sure that it's round capped and round join. So what that does is it just creates nice little smoothness and roundness in all of the strokes and the lines, and it'll keep the iconography style consistent with that beautiful linear and simple style of the lines and the strokes. Next we'll do our little circle in here. So on the left hand side, go to your tools section. Right click the rectangle to open up the ellipse tool, or you can select L as a shortcut. Click that. When you're clicking, make sure you hold shift to make it a nice and beautiful symmetrical round circle. Drag it out to how you'd like it, and or maybe I'll just do like a little bit there. Awesome. You can see that it's not aligned, so take your mouse and drag select both of the strokes and the objects, and go up to your align panel and click horizontal align center and vertical align center if you want the circle downwards, but I like it up just a little bit. Cool. And here is our first icon. If you want to fix it up a bit and make it a little bit more rounded, you can do that. Sorry, I'm just moving my bloody ruler. You can play around with the anchor points. So to do that, you can select your direct selection tool, and here you can see all of the anchor points. And you can play with the handles, you can drag that outwards, you can move the anchor point up to make it a bit longer, move the handles in to make it slimmer, but I like it just like that. Oh no! Okay, yeah, we'll keep it like that, and then we'll play around with the lines and the strokes. A lot of the time I like to create some broken lines in my icons. I think that just adds another bit of glitter to your iconography. So oh no, I didn't show you guys how to do that. Use the scissors tool. So the scissors tool will cut the lines in the strokes that you've created, and you can delete sections of it as well. So click the scissors tool. Sometimes it's set under eraser, so if you see the eraser, just right click that and click the scissors tool when part of the drop down, or you can hit C. So let's click that, find the path. So when you hover over, find the path, just click a section. So a small section here, I want to keep that, but I need to make and break a line. So I'm going to do another large section here. So I've just broken a couple of lines, and let's just delete that and delete this. There you go, got a nice little dashed line there. Let's do the compass. Zooming in on my beautiful sketch that is not straight. Let's do the two circles first. So select your ellipse tool, click, hold shift and drag out. You can move your mouse over into the center to find it. Pull it to the center, and let's resize this a bit. Smaller ring in the center. So again, selecting your ellipse tool, click, drag, hold shift. Every time you want it to be symmetrical and static to the circle, just hold shift. Okay, so I know it doesn't look aligned, but we can always use the align function. So let's select both of the rings, go up to the top and click horizontal align center and vertical align center. Now you have a beautifully aligned circles. Let's do the dial of our compass. So select the line segment tool. So do you see when I hovered near the center point of the circle, it guides me? So I will just do a short, click and drag down. Make sure you're holding shift so it doesn't go all over the place. So hold shift and go down just a little bit. And so there's two options to do this. You can either repeat this step around clockwise or wherever you'd like, or you can just copy the line that you've just made and paste it in. So I'm going to do the copy because I'm a lazy designer. So if you click over the stroke that you've just created and hit your Alt key on your keyboard, there should be a double cursor that comes up. Yep. And then drag that out and you've just duplicated your creation. You can do multiple things, but let's just do one first. So click, hold Alt, drag that out, and let's just do that. So let's do that for all of them. If you want to rotate it, make sure that you just grab one of the anchor points and rotate there. Move that up. Hold shift. Hold Alt, move that over. Sorry guys, bear with me. This is my first tutorial, so I'm doing the best that I can to explain the steps. My videos will be better, I promise. Let's click, hover over the lines again, and let's duplicate it again, but this time let's go a bit diagonal. Whoop. And repeat so you get nice dials. Awesome. Cool. Alright. Now I won't know if it's aligned until I move it off of my reference guide, so we'll have a look at that later. Let's do our little triangles. So if you hover over the ellipse tool, right click and select the star tool, it will have a triangle. Now, because I've already adjusted the points before, it won't automatically come up as a triangle. What you would usually have by default is a star shape. So to change your star shape to the triangle, just select the down key, down arrow key on your keyboard. And as you go down, it reduces the points to the triangle. And as you increase, so if you go up in the arrow key, you'll create more points for the stars. So just go down to the triangle. That's it. So now that we have two triangles now, perfect. Let's just rotate it to the side like that. Move it close together. Copy that both. click, hold shift to reduce the size. It looks a bit chunky. So play around with the points. There's no right or wrong way to design. I think it's just about having fun and experimenting. And now we will rotate that just a little bit, scale it down. Let's move it similar to my original scribblings. That's it. Okay, so now let's do this little ring on top. Going into your shape tool, right click, select the ellipse tool, let's draw a circle. Draw it so it's like just touching the first outer circle, because what we're going to do is we're going to merge these two paths. And in order for you to do that, just select the circle and select the outer ring. And on the side here, let's go into window, go down to Pathfinder. Awesome. This is like another little secret weapon of yours. So try and find the unite button. You don't have to try, you can find it, it's just the first button. Click that, and there you go. It merges your path lines. Okay, so now let's do a little circle in the center of that little hole. So selecting the ellipse tool, you can select L as the shortcut. Click, hold shift, and just move your arrow keys around to make sure that it's aligned in the center so everything looks symmetrical. And that's it. Control minus to just zoom it out. And here is our second icon. Ta-da! I'm just gonna make that a bit bigger so it looks all aligned. And I'm gonna just create some cuts. Using the scissors tool, I'm just gonna cut the outer line, delete. And I want a little dash there, so let's use the scissor tool again. Create a space, cut a smaller piece, click that path and delete. Okay. Next, let's do some mountains. Ooh, my goal is trying to do all these 9 icons in 30 minutes. Let's see how we go. All right. Rectangle tool. So again, using the star tool, holding, click, hold shift to drag your triangle out, move that over. Let's duplicate this path. So clicking the path, hold Alt, drag outwards. Let's scale this down. So click that corner, hold shift so it's to size, slide it across. So in order for us to get rid of a line, we use the scissors icon. So click the scissors tool. See, I am going to cut the smaller triangle. So how about we select, using your V tool, select the triangle. Yep, so it's selected. Then click the scissors tool. I think this is probably a more appropriate way than my dodgy way. Making sure that you're clicking on the path. Click. And then down at this point here, so we delete this angle so it looks seamless. There you go. And delete, delete. How I created the little swirly lines for the snow, you can go up to the curvature tool, which is a pen tool, but creates beautiful curvy lines. So I like to start outside, click once, click a few times, make like a little zigzag pattern to create the curves that you want, just like that. I'm happy with that. Once you're done, make sure it tends to move around. You need to select Alt and click outwards. I lie. Nope. Oh, it's Control click, my bad. So hit Control click if you want to end the line. That's it. Let's go into our selection tool, click the squiggly line, and we are going to cut it again. So cutting it right in the center of where that triangle line is so it looks seamless. Cutting that again. So now you can select the outer parts, the excess swiggle lines, and delete that. So click and delete. So now you've got your snow. Let's do the little one here. Again, going over to the left-hand side to select your curvature tool, clicking that. Let's create a little zigzag pattern. Yep. And hit Control and click outwards and let go. So you create your swiggle line. And now we use the scissors tool to just cut off the little excess. Before you do that, you need to select the swiggle line. Scissors tool. And cut. And cut. Delete. And select that excess and delete. Oh no, so can you guys see the little bits popping out? Just zoom in, select your direct selection tool, click the swiggle line and just move that anchor point down. Moving that anchor point down, and that's it. It's blending in. Whoop. Control minus. All right. That is your second icon. I mean third. Wow. There's a lot of icons. I kind of overcommitted in this tutorial. Alrighty. But I think for me, when it comes to iconography, it's all about keeping it consistent in styling, keeping consistent in the line and the width. And if, you know, things look a bit too complex and in that set there's something that's really simple, it might look a bit odd. So for example here, I'll probably just remove some of this to keep it simple. Ooh, I've seen like compasses with a little circle in there, so let's just do that quickly. It's all about experimenting, guys. We're gonna have some fun in figuring out what kind of icon set we want. Moving that around. Okay, I'm a very crappy teacher because I'm not really explaining what I'm doing, but we'll make it work. Oh no, I don't like that anymore. So it's just moving it back in. I will get back to that one. Let's move on. Okay. Fire time. Pen tool. Clicking at the bottom to create an anchor, and selecting, so similar to the pin, but it's kind of backwards, right? So selecting an anchor on top and dragging that out. Okay, I'm going to show you. How to manipulate this. I didn't really show you. I'm so sorry. Let me do that again. Retract. Set an anchor point. Set another anchor point on top. Drag that outwards. Click again the anchor point to get rid of that second handle. Go into this anchor. Click and drag outwards. So you create a little blob. So if you guys want to create a little indent here, you can use the pen tool and create that. So just select an anchor point, moving up diagonally just a little bit where the curve hits here. So select that, drag your anchor point, and then move your anchor point back to the center and drag it up so it's parallel. ish to the left anchor point, and you can see that the line will curve itself through that red line. So you let go, so hit that anchor point again so that you close off the handle before, and close your path, clicking the bottom anchor point and just dragging that out to make a little curve. That's it. So that's your little mock flame. Oh, I'm just going to use that in the center actually. That looks nice. Moral of the story, keep experimenting with the anchor points and the handles because you can create some pretty cool stuff with it. So let's just drag that up a little bit. So if you want to play around with the anchor points and the handles, make sure that you are in direct selection tool. Okay, let's fix up my logs that look like breadsticks. Right click, I am going to use, let's use a rectangle tool. So I'm gonna create a log, and I'm going to select the direct selection tool, and you see these cool little dots here. Select it and pull it in. It'll curve those edges. Okay, and now we are going to drag that up and turn it diagonally. Make sure that's aligned with the fire. Let's make it a bit fatter. Yep. Let's do that to the other side. Oh, whoops. Center, click Alt, hold Alt and drag out. Turn that around so it's like a little band-aid cross. Select both of the breadsticks, move that to the center of the flame. Okay, so let's use the scissors tool to cut the lines so that it looks seamless. Scissors tool, I'm going to cut it there, I'm going to cut it here, and I'm going to cut it at this intersection and this intersection. So using the select tool, let's grab this section here, delete that, grab this section here, delete that. So now it looks like one breadstick is laying on top of the other breadstick. Awesome. Let's drag that and move this out. Let's make this a little bigger. Alright, let's do the camera now. So Control plus to zoom in, H to drag your artboard across so you can have a better view. Let's go to the rectangle tool and create our camera body. I'm going to curve the edges a bit by selecting the curved corner tool. Click that and drag inwards and it should drag all 4 points. So let's make that a little curvy. And now let's create our lens. So back into our shape tool, select the ellipse tool, clicking that, click, hold shift to drag outwards. Let's make that a little bit bigger and we'll do a smaller ring in the center. Click and hold shift, drag outwards. It's okay if it's not aligned, we will make that aligned. Select both objects, holding shift and clicking both of the rings. Going up here to the properties of the align tool, click horizontal align center and vertical align center. And that should make it centered. Let's move that up a little bit and click outwards. We are going to create the dial on top. Let's go back to the rectangle tool. Now you can be creative in how you want to design your camera. I'm going to create a basic film camera. So let's draw our little rectangle. Move that down. Just make sure that your shape is aligned to the body path so that it looks seamless and together. So let's just zoom in to have a look at that. We're going to draw a little circle here for the flash. It's probably out of place, but hold shift and outwards. To maybe add some depth into this camera, we'll add a little rectangle strip across. So let's select your rectangle tool. Click, drag downwards and drag it across. And using my favorite tool, the scissors. So right clicking over the eraser tool to select the scissors, or you can select C. We will cut it here, cutting it where it meets the circle, making sure that you don't cut the circle, but you're cutting the rectangle itself. Cut, cut, cut. Cool bananas. So let's select that line and select this line, and there you go. So I feel like I've missed a section here, so let's zoom in, Control plus. We'll use our direct selection tool to double click this anchor point and move that in just a little bit. There you go. And we have our camera. All right, let's drag this over to the other icons. Make that a little bit bigger. Cool. All right, let's do the boots. Hiking boots. Control plus H to glide your canvas across so it's easier to work with. Let's start with the rectangle tool. So we're going to do this bottom part first. So let's make a little bottom boot. Using the direct selection tool, we'll just play with one of the corners to curve that inwards. Yeah. And down here, let's make that a little curvier. And this side here too. Whoop. I don't want all, I just want 1 point. So double click so it's 1 point and drag that in just slightly. Great. So now let's do the high top. Another rectangle tool, drag that down, making sure it's aligned to the bottom shape. Create your shape. Awesome. I'm going to merge these two paths now. So select all of it, click, drag across, go to your Pathfinder box and just select Unite. Now I got my outline of my boot. Let's create this little heel stitching here. I'm going to use the pen tool, clicking outwards to create a nice curved. So let's diagonal point anchor here, click and drag downwards, down, 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 down. So you create a nice little bend there and let go. Hit Control and click outwards to end that path. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Favorite tool is my scissors. Let's cut this line to trim the excess. Cut, cut, cut. If you don't want to cut, you can use the direct selection tool and move the anchor point inwards. But I'm just so used to using the scissors tool, so as you're working through Illustrator more and more, you'll find ways to become more efficient and do what works for you. So direct selection tool, instead of cutting that point, I can just move that in just a little bit. There you go. Let's do some shoelaces. Again, using the pen tool, I can click a point, click another point downwards and move it slightly diagonal and letting go. Hit Control and click outwards to release and create that path there. Let's do another cute little shoelace. Create a point, create another anchor point and drag diagonally just a little bit to create the handles so it's slightly curved. Control click outwards. And again, clicking an anchor point, creating another anchor point, and dragging downwards to create handles to do a slight little curve. I like that. Okay, so let's do our little sock. In the high top area, I am going to use the line segment tool and clicking on the path, dragging across, holding shift so it's straight. If you don't hold shift, it will fly all over the place. So holding shift and moving that across and letting go. I'm doing some sock lines, so using the line segment tool, click, drag down, click, drag, hold shift and drag down, click, hold shift, drag down, click, hold shift, drag down, and click, hold shift, drag down. Awesome. We'll do 2 more lace lines on the top here. So using the pen tool, click to create an anchor point, another anchor point parallel to that, hold shift and just drag it diagonally upwards. Click control, let go. And again, create an anchor point, create another anchor point, hold that and drag diagonally so you can create a nice little curve there. So if you always want to see how your lines turn out, just look at the path before it creates it, so you can gauge what the curve will look like, and you can always move it around and adjust that using the direct selection tool. Okay, so let's create our rubber grip of our boots because no one wants to slide around when they're going hiking. So using our rectangle tool, let's create a little grip. I'm just going to overlap it a little bit, making sure it's aligned. So I'm going to move this point inwards so it's aligned to my boot. I am going to use the direct selection tool to create a nice curve at the front here. So double click and drag inwards just slightly so it's a nice little curve, and again down on the other side. I am going to delete this top line here, so let's use our scissors tool, click and click the corners to delete that, and we're going to select that excess and delete. Now we are going to do our lines again. So line segment tool, let's just click, hold shift, drag, click, hold shift and drag. Click, hold shift and drag, click, hold shift and drag, click, hold shift and drag. Let's just repeat that. And that's it, that's our boot. Control minus, and now the boot can join the Adventure Icon family. Moving that across, making that a wee bit bigger. Awesome. Let's do our fish, our pescado, our fish. Oops, pescado means fish in Spanish. All right, that's another goal of mine. I really want to relearn Spanish and have a nice flowing conversation with someone. Because learning another language is awesome. So selecting the ellipse tool, let's create a nice little oval for our fish. We are going to create the tail. So let's use the triangle tool, the star tool. So selecting the star. So again, if your star tool goes to the star, let's just select the down key arrow on your keyboard and hit that down twice, and that should take you back to the triangle. Holding shift to make sure that it's a nice triangle. Let's move this across using the selection tool, hovering over the edges to rotate, hold shift to align straight, and let's move that inwards just a little bit. Okay, I am going to, should I merge it together? Okay, let's make a little indent in the tail first. So let's use our direct selection tool. There's already an anchor point here. I want this curved, but if you move it in without the handles, you can see that it's quite rigid. So there's two ways to create the curve. You can use this little curve tool here and drag that outwards to make that a nice curve. Or you could actually add in the handles here. Convert selected anchor points to smooth. So when you click that and you move this inwards, there's a nice little curve and you can just play around with the handles to create that smooth curved. So there's two ways to do it. I am now going to delete or cut the path a bit to make it blend a bit more. Let's use our scissors tool, selecting that tail, and let's cut right where it hits the ellipse and delete, delete. That's it. Let's go back to our pen tool and create our little gills. So let's click a point and click another point down here and drag that outwards diagonally to create a nice curve and let go. Hit Control and click outwards to release that path. You can clean this up. If you don't want to use the scissors tool and you're sick of using the scissors tool, you can just move your image in closer. Use the direct selection tool, find that anchor point and move that up just a little bit. And that's it. For the eyeball, you can just draw a little circle. So at the moment it's in a stroke path. I am going to switch that around. So swap fill and stroke. You can click the two arrows and just create a nice little eyeball, circular eyeball. I feel like my fish is missing a fin, so probably won't swim properly without its fins. So let's create some fins. So using the star tool, create a little triangle. Whoop, we are going to change that back into the stroke. So let's flip that around. And you can see that the stroke isn't the same as what we have been using. So in order to make that the same, just use the eyedropper tool and click on the stroke that you want to mimic and duplicate, and it would create that stroke size for you. Now it looks like a baby shark. So let's move the points around a little bit to make it more angled. I'm going to use the direct selection tool. Let's click an anchor point and move that across. So the reason why this is happening is because there's extra anchor points there. You can just delete that. So going into the pen tool, right click, delete anchor point. You can click that anchor point there and click this anchor point here. And it should remove it. So if you'd like that to be a bit curved, you can use the selection tool and play around with the points. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's duplicate this. So click, hold Alt, drag downwards. I'm going to flip this around. So right click, transform, reflect. Vertical, okay. I'm just gonna rotate that. Maybe making this a little bit smaller than the top one. And there you go. Drag that up, making sure that it's aligned. So see how it's a bit over the oval. Brain fart, Amanda. We can just, I'll just cut that. I'll cut that so it is removable. Delete, delete. I didn't do a good job. So always zoom in so you can see your points. Okay, there's that little curve there, so I'm just going to remove that. Delete. What is happening? Oh, there it is. Delete. There you go. Control minus to zoom out. H to glide across. Selection tool to pick up our fish to go near the fire. All right. Let's create our sun. I think the sun is probably the most easiest one out of all this. Zooming in, using the ellipse tool, click, hold shift to create a beautiful circle, drag that outwards, moving that in. Okay, so now let's go back to our shape tool, find the star tool, click that. Let's drag that outwards, holding shift so it's a nice triangle, and we are going to move that downwards to meet the center. I'm going to duplicate this, so clicking Alt, dragging downwards, again making sure that there's the double cursor so you can see that it's getting ready to duplicate. Moving that down, I'm going to hover my mouse over to make sure there's the double-ended arrow to rotate, move that around, hold shift, and there you go. So I'm going to repeat the duplication process. So clicking the first triangle, hold shift, clicking the second triangle, hold Alt, hover over to get the double cursor and drag that outwards. I'm going to rotate that, hold shift to align vertical, and move that across so it's centered. Great. I'm going to duplicate that again, so hold Alt, click, drag, rotate diagonally, moving that down, and again hold Alt, drag downwards, rotating that around, and let's move our triangles back up. Ta-da! We got a sun. Everybody loves an adventure in a beautiful sunny day. Let's move this across. Control minus. Sun's gonna come around here. Let's create our cup of coffee or tea. Because when we're going camping, it's always nice to have a hot cup of drink by the fire. Okay, let's start with the ellipse tool. We are going to create the top of our cup. So click and drag outwards. Let's move this up a little bit. And now we're going to select the rectangle tool. Let's create a rectangle, square-ish, depends on how big of a mug you want. Moving the sides in. Let's move this shape up a bit. I'm going to try and make it as close as I can to the center of the circle so it looks all aligned. I'm going to move this down just a little bit. Now using the direct selection tool, I'm going to click this side corner and just move that in. And again on the other side, moving that in so it's similar in shape and size. I'm going to remove this top line by using, you know it, our scissors tool. Alright, so select your scissors tool, click that top point, click that top point of the rectangle, use your selection tool, clicking that first top line and hit the delete button. Alright, we got our mug. Let's create the handle. So I will use the ellipse tool to create the handle. Let's create a circle, hold shift. Let's do a small circle first. Using the scissors tool, we are going to cut it in half, top and bottom points, and delete one half. Ooh, it's Perfect. Let's make that a little smaller. So holding shift, clicking outwards, move that in a little smaller. Now let's create that outer rim. So hover over the path, hit Alt, drag outwards. Hold on Alt and drag outwards. So let's hold shift and drag the corners out. Move that across to make it a consistent width. Let's drag that out a little bit more. Perfecto. All right, we've got our mug. Let's create some nice steam. I'm going to use the curvature tool. Let's create a zigzag, just a little baby zigzag. Create a point, create another point, zigzag in a zigzag motion. Awesome. Now hit your control and click outwards. Let's create a smaller one. So zigzag, 1 point, 2, 3, 4. Hit control, click outwards. Let's do another one. Zigzag motion, 1, 2, 3, 4, and click the control button. I'm going to use my selection tool and just move the steam around. I don't want it to hit the mug, so I'm going to just move it around. Control minus, and we got our mug. Let's make that a little bit larger. Oh no. Click, drag, hold shift, pull that outwards. Whew, and there you go. There's our 9 adventure icons. Oh, that was fun. The next step that you need to do is, at the moment, it's a current stroke. So what you want to do is create an outline. Going into Object, Path, Outline Stroke. When you do this, you can select all of that and it should fill nicely. I don't know why. There you go. So I can change this to, let's say, maroon or green. I usually just do black and white. Black. That's it. Okay, so final takeaway, have fun, play around with the pen tool, play around with the scissors tool, and the shapes tool. Hopefully you got something out of this tutorial. If you have any questions, in the comments, and I will get back to you. Bye guys!